Hey, and welcome to Micro Moments of Wellness. My name is Alex, and today we're going to talk about 20 techniques for feeling calmer. This was actually inspired by a really great magazine article, so I have included the link to that magazine article in the notes that it talks about what this is going to cover today. So let's go ahead, and first of all, I invite you to do what Dr. Herbert Benson calls eliciting the relaxation response instead of the stress response. So just taking a moment wherever you are sitting or standing or laying and getting comfortable wherever you are. And just imagining that this is you. So imagining that you are in a beautiful hammock. It's wonderful outside. The temperature is perfect. And the relaxation response has just a couple of different things that we're invited to do with our body. So first is to just take some nice deep breath, to be comfortable. He also invites sometimes for people to close their eyes, but that's not necessary to invoke the relaxation response. And then lastly, to just relax the muscles. So just imagining that you're laying here and allowing everything to slow down for a moment. Oh, well, welcome. So today we have a lot to cover, and I'm going to try to do it in about an hour or so. So we're going to take a look at various and quick, simple strategies to feel calmer throughout our day, because life right now is really hard for a variety of different reasons, and it's really important for us to find some nice, simple techniques that we can use to just calm our nervous system down. We're going to practice several mindfulness-based tools that help to reduce stress and increase calmness, as well as build our tools for resiliency, creativity, problem solving. We're going to do 4 mindful-based tools, actually. We're going to learn about the benefits of these tools and how they can support your personal self-care and well-being. And we're going to do this through a whole bunch of different information. We'll also do, as I said, the guided practices. And there'll be a lot of opportunity for self-reflection on where you can introduce some of these tips into your day. I'm just taking a look at this quote, and isn't it so true that it's important for us to take a look at where we can find opportunities within our problems, including the problems of every day. Now, sometimes we may think, why are we doing this? Does it really matter if we take a moment to relax or if we do these little things? Well, actually, it does. So think of just every grain of sand counts towards an hour, it counts towards time. So every grain of well-being counts towards the continuation of health. In our body, we can either be at ease or we can be at dis-ease. And so when we're running around, when we're stressed, when we're anxious, depressed, angry, competitive, jealous, sad, envious, whatever the emotion is, those are all emotions that create dis-ease in the body. And we know that they make us sick. Whereas when we can take just a moment, one micro moment of wellness to feel peaceful, to feel relaxed, to feel safe, to feel happy, whatever it is, then we're moving towards having more ease in our body as opposed to more dis-ease in our body. When the body feels safe, it will reorganize itself. And this is Dr. Stephen Porges. He is actually the founder of the polyvagal theory, which we talk a lot about in our different sessions. And it's all about the nervous system and supporting the nervous system and how we can help to build up our immune functioning and all of the other different functions that we have going in through our body. So we'll talk a little bit about Dr. Stephen Porges as we go throughout this presentation, things that I think he would approve upon. So number 1 is to just take a few deep breaths throughout your day whenever you can. So we can see that this person, it looks like possibly they're at work or they're busy studying or whatever. And if you're too busy to take a few deep breaths, then you're too busy. Something needs to change. So throughout your day, just taking a moment to breathe deeply. And what this does is it actually kind of interrupts those stress chemicals and neurochemicals that are going through the brain And it lets your brain know, oh, we must be safe in this moment, because if we weren't safe, we would be breathing shallowly, we would be breathing rapidly. So when you take these nice, low, deep breaths, it actually changes the part of the brain that kind of has control over what you're doing and just calms down that stress response. So let's go ahead and actually do our first mindful technique. And this one is called core breathing. So I'll invite you again to get comfortable wherever you are sitting or standing or laying. Perhaps you already need to shift because it's been a few minutes. Allowing your body to relax a little bit. And I'll invite you, if it feels comfortable, to go ahead and just allow your eyes to softly gaze on something, or even to close softly if that feels comfortable for you. And imagining that you're kind of closing out the shutters to the outside world, beginning to focus on the internal environment, what's happening in your body. And now imagining with every deep, slow, relaxing breath, that this breath is actually coming into your entire core and being breathed out by your entire core. So it's as if you are breathing in with your chest and belly and breathing out with your chest and belly. Allowing the shoulders to relax. Feeling heavy wherever you are being supported in your chair, or what you're standing or laying on. Breathing in and out through your core. Getting a sense of the belly and chest, moving with the breath. Perhaps even imagining the breath expanding out from the core. Allowing yourself to be immersed. Allowing the breath to breathe you. Bringing a little bit more breath to the body if it feels comfortable. Or if you're comfortable where you are and would like to continue, then just pausing the video, continuing to breathe as you are. So as many different people as there are on the planet, there are as many breathing techniques that you may find are helpful for you. And so this is just one of multiple breathing techniques that we're going to continue to explore throughout these series. So number 2 is to just be silly, is to just allow yourself to be silly sometimes. And a lot of times, especially people that I work with in corporate areas, they feel like they don't have time to be silly, or that life is too serious to be silly. But actually, if you think about being too busy to be silly or being too serious to be silly, is that creating ease in your body or is that creating dis-ease in your body? So, whatever silly looks like to you, maybe you find things that are very human funny, like burping or farting. Yesterday, my brother sent me a text that was a Joe Mama joke. Joe Mama, right? And I laughed so hard, I cried. So, to just find things throughout your day that allow you to be silly, you don't have to do it in front of other people if you don't want to. But if you think about the emotions that are involved in being silly, if you think about how it may be really fun or it just makes you feel light, these are the ways that we can add more happiness to our life, more calmness, a little bit more of a sense of peace. So, number three is to actually go ahead and use a mantra. And what is this? This is a statement that you use throughout your day that maybe is helpful for you. It helps you to just balance, it helps you to feel more comfortable, to feel more grounded. And perhaps that mantra is something like just breathe, just breathe. Or Dr. Rick Hansen likes to talk a lot about safety, the importance of feeling safe in this moment, that we can reprogram our brains, that we can reprogram our nervous systems just by recognizing in this moment, I am safe. And so maybe even thinking for a moment if you feel safe in this moment, wherever you are sitting, standing, laying, if you feel any sense of safety, and to just relax into that. Because there have been so many times in our lives when we haven't felt safe, either emotionally safe, physically safe, mentally safe, whatever it may be. And so the more that we recognize, the more that we can feed our sense of wellness with also a sense of safety, the stronger we can become, the more resilient, the more creative, the more healthy that we can become. And as a side note, Dr. Rick Hansen, if you go to rickhanson, HANSON.net, he does free, at time of taping this, he does free meditations every Wednesday. And he also sends out some really interesting emails that you may find are helpful for you. All right, so our next one, number 4, is to just listen to the environment. And the reason that this is really good for us or can be really nourishing for us, aside for a number of different things I'll share one with you in a moment, is that again, it tells our nervous system, hey, we're okay. We don't have to be panicking. We can actually just take a moment to listen, to just let our body relax enough to enjoy this moment. So let's go ahead and give it a try. And what I was going to share with you is we have a water system. We used to live in the city and now we've moved rurally. And so we have a water system that can be quite loud at times when we're trying to sleep. And so my husband was saying, oh, it's really bothering me. Like I haven't been sleeping so well. And so I mentioned it to my son, and my son said, oh, whenever I hear the water system going, he said, I like to imagine it as white noise and it helps me to sleep. And so when I told Keith that, he gave it a try. And sure enough, that night he said, yeah, he said, I heard it. I thought of it as white noise and it helped me to fall back asleep right away. So it's interesting how we can begin to receive sounds in a different way, and it completely changes the way that we react and respond to them. So let's go ahead and do our second mindful technique here. So I'll invite you to just get comfortable again. And noticing if perhaps your tummy has become tight since the last mindful exercise that we just did, or if your jaw is tight, if your shoulders have come up, if any of your muscles are tense. So just noticing if that's occurred and inviting yourself to just relax. And again, taking some nice, slow, deep breaths. Oh. Maybe allowing a sigh on the exhalation. If it feels comfortable, allowing the eyes to close. And as the eyes close or softly gaze at something, to imagine that the ears are opening a little bit more and keeping your body nice and soft and relaxed. Allowing the ears to just receive sounds without having to judge what the sounds are. As you hear different things, almost focusing more on the vibrations that hit your ears as you hear them. Perhaps imagining that these vibrations are relaxing your body, allowing them in, allowing the body to soften. Possible, even imagining that you can feel the vibrations of what you're hearing, gently vibrating and reverberating throughout the body. Maybe even like a tiny massage. Softening and relaxing the muscles. Bringing a little bit more air to the body. And perhaps opening the eyes if they were closed. Or perhaps again, just pausing the video and staying there if that's a practice that you enjoy. So just that alone can help to elicit the relaxation response, the opposite of the stress response. Remember the 4 main points that Dr. Herbert talks about with his very famous relaxation response is to relax the body, to breathe deeply, to close the eyes, and to slow down. And that's what we're doing with these mindful practices. And so these micro moments of wellness work towards nourishing the different systems in our body instead of taxing the different systems in our body. Now, the next thing that was on the list in this awesome article was to just smell something pleasant. So in the last session that I did where we talked about panic attacks, I mentioned that my son had bought me a lavender soap bar that I just loved smelling. And actually, instead of using it in the shower, I keep it next to my bed in the nightstand and I smell it when I want to. So just whatever it is that you love to smell. So maybe there's something in your office that you're able to keep, even if your place of work is fragrance free, or your place of wherever it is that you spend most of your time is supposed to be fragrance free. Then is there something that you can keep in a jar or in a tin? And it could be anything. Maybe it's just that you get out during the day to see if you can smell some freshly cut grass. Or perhaps you keep a tin maybe of your favorite tea or a little bit of your favorite coffee and give a little smell in there. And I want to show you something that I think is kind of neat. So think of something that you really, really love to smell. So maybe it's a fresh cut lemon, or it's sandalwood or some type of flower. So just thinking about something that you really enjoy smelling. And if it feels comfortable, perhaps allowing the eyes to close if that feels okay. And now for just a couple of breaths, imagine that you are smelling that scent, your most favorite scent. Imagining the aroma, filling the nostrils. breathing it all the way into your belly. Perhaps even imagining what this thing looks like, if you're imagining grass or coffee. Just imagining that deep, deep scent in your nostrils, flooding the brain. And now with eyes still closed, we're gently gazing, just seeing how you feel. If it was something that was comfortable, perhaps enjoyable for you or not, just checking in. A little bit more breath and allowing those eyes to open. So, as we've talked about previously in other sessions, just thinking about something can make your body respond as if it's actually happening, which is why when we think about things that provoke stress or anxiety or sadness in us, all of a sudden the heart starts to beat a little bit faster. We get a little bit sweaty, we get a little bit shaky, whatever it is. Which, as we talked about in the previous session, can actually bring a panic attack on just by thinking about these things. So instead of letting our mind bring us somewhere that's going to create this lack of calmness in our body, what if we purposely, consciously, with a little bit of effort, think about the things that make us feel calmer, that can bring in that sense of happiness or softness? So another is to focus on a cherished keepsake. And it could be anything at all. Maybe it's a little vial of sand from your favorite beach. Maybe it's a picture of something that you're able to keep in your place, at work or at school or at home or wherever you are. It could be maybe a coin or a token that you keep in your pocket. So I'll show you a couple of the things that I use as an example here. So we just went on a trip a little while ago and I got this like awesome mug. I love it. And so when I'm having my tea in the morning, I actually will take a moment to just focus on the difference of the feel in the mug. So it's kind of grainy on the bottom and it's nice and shiny and smooth on the top. And sometimes I'll hold it and just feel the warmth in my hands. My partner works from home and it's crazy. He goes from one meeting to the next. Like I'll hear him in the other room and he'll be saying, "Okay, everyone, that was great. Thanks so much. Enjoy your day." Okay. And a second later, "Hey everyone, how are you today?" And so it's like he wasn't even taking a breath. Like literally, it was crazy. So I got him this for his desk and it says, "Just breathe." Just reminding him. And so I've I've heard him sometimes when he's talking to other people and he says like, "Oh, look at this thing that Alex got for me. It just reminds me to take a breath." So, like let's take a breath right now, all of us, because I think we're having a really busy day. And his office actually, and he's lucky that he does work from home, and so people can't see what he has, but he has really cool stuff. So he has a couple of mugs that belong to his dad. His dad was absolutely his hero, and so he loves having these mugs that meant a lot to his dad in his office beside him, beside the computer where you can't see it. And our daughter has a thing for crystals, and so she gave him this for Father's Day. I think it's called like blue calcite or something. I don't know. She's into it. But Keith, she also got him. This was like $10 on Amazon, the thing that it sits on. And she said, like the stone itself, the rock itself, was like $20 or something. It's not like it was super expensive. So he likes to look at it, but it's also really, really heavy. And so sometimes he likes to just hold it in his hand, and that can help kind of ground us. And we've talked before, one more point about the 20-20-20 rule. So optometrists will recommend that every 20 minutes after staring at one thing, so after staring at a screen, after staring at a book, whatever it is, every 20 minutes to take 20 seconds to look at something that's at least 20 feet away. So is it possible that if you don't work somewhere where you can have these extra things, is there something that you can focus on that's in your environment that's 20 feet away or more. And that can be your reminder of just, oh, when I see that, when I focus on that, I relax. I take just a moment, I take a breath. So that mark on the wall, whatever it is, that window that shows me outside, that reminds me every 20 minutes just to take 20 seconds and breathe and relax. Again, anything that we do adds up. So just reflecting for a moment, like what that could be for you. If there's anything, I worked with a woman and she was amazing. She had this smile that like lit up a room. But every time she had to deal with a customer, all of a sudden her smile would drop. And I'm like, what? So we were doing a coaching session and I said, like, you have this most beautiful smile, but as soon as you have to concentrate, boom, the smile goes away. And anyway, so we talked about like what makes you smile in life. And she said, well, my dogs make me smile. And so she cut out this little tiny picture of her dogs and she put it, just pasted on her screen, on her computer screen. And so then when she was dealing with customers and when she looked at her screen, she would see the dogs. And she came to me the next day as soon as she had put it up and said, Alex, I can't stop smiling. Every single time I see more dogs, I just can't stop smiling. So just thinking for a moment of what that could be for you. All right. So the next one on the list was to just take a play break if you can. I mean, I'm assuming that whatever you're doing, you get it at least a break. You can take at least a 5-minute break. And so is it possible that you can play a little bit, even if it's just having a hacky sack that you can throw back and forth wherever you are, or whatever that may look like for you. If it's possible to get out and stretch your legs for a couple of minutes and just play, to just let your body know that you're safe. Let your body really soak in that in this moment, hey, I'm okay. So another suggestion that they had, number 8, was to get tech support. And so their suggestion here was like, holy smokes, there's so many apps that can remind you to just breathe, that can remind you to check in with your emotions, that'll just chime a bell to remind you to relax and soften your belly. So is there anything that you can do? Maybe setting up an alarm, again, every 20 minutes or every hour, just for a minute. It doesn't need to be long, to just calm down. Because we get into this habit of stressing our body out. And now that's kind of the road that our body has memorized. So when we take a moment out in our day to relax the body, we're actually reprogramming our entire system. We're reprogramming our neural system. We're reprogramming our immune system. We're reprogramming our nervous system. These micro moments of wellness really matter. They make a difference. So just reflecting for a moment on if you happen to have any technology that you might be able to use to support you. And maybe you don't have any technology at all. Then even just a watch that can beep every hour, that can just remind you to just relax. Just for a few seconds, just relax, just soften. Or smile. Dr. Andrew Newberg talks about the importance of just smiling, that when we smile, it interrupts those stressful neurochemicals. So just taking a break to do whatever you need to do. All right, so the next one, and who actually would have known that there's a lot of research behind this? Drinking a glass of water. So the reason that it helps to calm us down is because, again, it sends a message to our body and to our brain to say, hey, you're safe in this moment. Because if there were actually an imminent threat right now, you wouldn't be pausing to take a drink of water. However, a lot of research shows that we're actually more productive, more creative, and better at problem solving when we're well hydrated. So studies have shown that people perform better on tests when they've had a glass of water, clean drinking water, before they've gone ahead and taken the test. So just thinking, if that works for tests, you can imagine how that works if you're dealing with kids all day long or if you're at work. So thinking for a moment where you can add some water in your day. And it could be when you first wake up. So I actually keep my water bottle, I keep one in the bathroom at night. So if I get up to go to the washroom, I have something to drink, and I keep another water bottle next to my bed. And in the morning, the first thing that I do before I get up is I actually just drink a whole bunch of water. So I kind of take a moment. I don't jump out of bed right away. I used to, but I don't anymore. because we want to send a signal to our nervous system that, hey, we're okay. Just because I'm awake doesn't mean I need to be stressful. And when we wake up, actually, our cortisol levels increase immediately. So sometimes people feel like they're having a panic attack or they're anxious when they wake up. That's I understand that you feel that way, but what's happening, and especially with people who are sensitive, is you're just sensing that your cortisol levels are increasing and your adrenaline levels are increasing to help you start the day. So if you just take a moment and don't feed into, oh my gosh, I just woke up, my heart is pounding and I'm already anxious. If you just take a moment and you have a glass of water, that can help you to be a little bit calmer. So just thinking, if there's anywhere that you can add even one glass of water throughout your day and knowing that it helps with your health. So another technique is to listen to music. And I promised you that I would talk a little bit more about Dr. Stephen Porges. So he does talk about the importance of listening to music, especially prosodic voices, right? That go up and down. He talks more, I think, about feminine voices, singing voices, and how helpful that can be. So my partner, sometimes when he does have just a couple of minutes between one meeting and the next, what he'll do is he'll Google top 10 auditions for America's Got Talent or X Factor or Britain's Got Talent. And he'll put his headphones on and he'll listen. And it's adorable. In fact, sometimes if he's working late at night, we'll all hear these noises coming out of his office. It's like, I don't know, like an animal giving birth. I love him. I love him more than anything, but it's hilarious. And he's singing along, and it's just so good for our nervous system to listen to music, because again, we're not going to do that if we're not safe. And following along that, Dr. Stephen Porges also says that it's really good for us to sing. And one of the reasons is because we need those big, deep breaths to sing. It also affects our vagal tone. So it kind of relaxes, right? We get right into the belly. It can affect the vagal tone, which just kind of brings our nervous system into order. I was driving in traffic getting to work, and the guy beside me stopped at the red light. I couldn't hear him at all, but I look over and he's just giving her in his car, like he's doing the drum solo. He's singing like he's on stage, and it was so awesome to just even see that because he was having a great time. And we have these mirror neurons in our brains, so that when we look at others, we have the ability to have compassion. So just seeing him have so much fun totally brightened my day. So there you go. So thinking, is there anywhere that you could comfortably sing? Like, who cares? So what? I'm never going to see this guy again. I drive away. He doesn't even know that I saw him singing. So can you drive? Can you sing in the car? Can you sing in the shower? Is there somewhere where you would be able to comfortably sing and just belt out your favorite tunes? All right, number 12 is to monotask. Just focus on one thing. Go ahead and Google, does monotasking actually work? Does monotasking increase efficiency? Yes, 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 yes. Multitasking reduces our efficiency. It causes more stress on the body and in the mind. Focusing on one thing. So just focusing on your emails for 20 minutes and turning off any other notifications, getting rid of any other, anything else that's going to distract you or anything, right? So just focusing on this task for however long seems reasonable. And again, I say 20 minutes because take the 20-20-20, take that break. After 20 minutes, take that 20-second break, or however long it is. Or if there's a task that you really don't want to do, folding the laundry at home or having to clean something or taking care of your to-do pile, then instead of multitasking and taking a look at it and then realizing you need to do this as well, no, just monotask. It's actually really good for your health. And here's what I'm glad that they added it in, is eating protein. And protein is really important because it can help us from not having those huge fluctuations and spikes. So, I love lattes. I've been cutting down on them a lot because there's a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, a lot of caffeine. So it's a special treat. But when we have these things, whether we're having caffeine, whether we're having sugar, refined carbs, whatever it is, then we have these spikes of energy. We feel amazing. And then we have the sugar crash. So we can eat some protein throughout our day. That helps to keep the sugar levels a little bit more stable so we don't have those crashes. Because when we do have those crashes, unconsciously, the body starts to send off signals to say, hey, we're not okay. We're panicking here. We don't have enough sugar. So again, people can feel depressed when they are hungry and having a sugar crash, and they don't even know why. Like, oh, I feel so depressed right now. I feel so sad. Well, that's your body telling you, hey, there's something wrong. We're having a sugar crash. A lot of people feel really anxious when they're having a sugar crash too. So I wanted to share this picture with you. It's one of my favorite snacks, and sauna log. Look at all the multi-nutrients that we're getting here, right? And the micronutrients, macronutrients. It's amazing. So we have our fiber, we have our protein, yeah, the vitamins and minerals, but it could be anything at all. So if you're having a little bit of yogurt, maybe add some chia seeds or switch to a Greek yogurt, which has a lot more protein in it. This morning, I had my slow cook oatmeal with a sliced banana and then just put a little bit of pecans, just a little bit of pecans on top. So nuts are great. Just remember that you probably want to keep them refrigerated and they do go rancid really quickly. So almonds are the nuts that last the longest. They're okay to kind of have as long as you don't have to be in a nut-free environment. But they'll do a lot better in your desk or in your locker or wherever you are than walnuts. Walnuts have the highest rate of rancidity. So they go rancid fastest out of all the nuts. There you go. Some extra information there for you. So technique number 14 that they suggested in this article was alternate nostril breathing. And this has been proven to be so good for everything, including the brain, but it helps to calm you down too. So I'm going to invite you to actually give it a try with me. I don't know if you've ever tried alternate nostril breathing before. So just getting comfortable wherever you are. And what we do is we put the thumb against one nostril, and just like in the picture here, and probably just put two fingers up on the forehead, rest them. And then we're going to put the other two fingers gently on the other nostril. Don't close your nostrils right now. We need to breathe. But so this is how we have it. So the thumb goes on one nostril, two fingers at the top, just lightly resting against the forehead. And then the other two fingers are just going to go gently against your other nostril here. So what we're going to do is with the thumb, we'll go ahead and we'll plug the one nostril. And gently allow your eyes to close or softly gaze. We're going to breathe in with that first nostril and then plug it with the fingers and unhook the other nostril and breathe out through that nostril. And then breathe in through that nostril again. And then plug that nostril with the thumb, letting go of the other nostril. Breathing out and breathing in. And then plugging that nostril, and we're just going to alternate. So I'll be quiet and just do it at your own pace for the next few breaths, not trying to control anything, allowing yourself to just relax and soften. Focusing on breathing in, breathing out, and then alternating to the other nostril. I'll be quiet for the next few breaths. And with eyes still closed or looking down, just checking in to see how you feel. So allowing your hands to go down comfortably into your lap. And just noting how you feel. If you feel any differently than you did a few breaths ago. And gently, when you're ready, bring a little bit more breath to the body. And allowing those eyes to open if they were closed. Or continuing with your nostril breathing. And just pausing the video here. Number 15, to help us be a little bit calmer, feel a little bit safer, was to just name the experience. So Dr. Dan Siegel talks a lot about name it to tame it, name it to tame it. And so what we want to do is just figure out how we're actually feeling in this moment, because we tend to get caught up in a powerful emotion. So let's say you're driving and someone cuts you off, or goes at a stop sign and it's not their turn, whatever it is. So let's say that you're feeling rage. It's so easy for us to actually embody that emotion and then act in that way. But when we name the experience, oh, I'm feeling a lot of rage right now. I notice that my heart is pounding. I'm noticing that I'm having some really ugly thoughts towards this other person, or perhaps towards myself, whatever it may be. So when we begin to name it, again, it interrupts what's happening in the brain. It interrupts the amygdala and all of those stress chemicals that are pumping through our brain and now pumping through the rest of our body, and kind of confuses them, like, well, wait a minute, I'm rageful, but now I'm having to think about what's happening. So it kind of shifts priority from the flight or fight response of our brain over to that prefrontal cortex, that thinking part of our brain. And so by just naming the experience, it actually helps to tame the emotion, because we're getting out of that reactive part of our brain and getting into that more cognitive part, the problem solving, the creative part of our brain. So let's go ahead and we'll just give it a try, actually. So right where you are right now, just again, taking some nice deep breaths and getting comfortable. And if it feels okay for you, then allowing the eyes to just softly or gently close, or allowing them to just gaze softly at something. Taking a few deep breaths, and we're not trying to control anything in any way. Just noticing where you are right now, noticing how you're feeling, what kind of thoughts you're having. So noticing if you're kind of thinking about stuff that you need to do in the future, or maybe rehashing something that happened previously. It's kind of meeting your brain where it's at, your mind, and also your body. Noticing if there's any areas of tension in your body. And not trying to change anything. Just meeting yourself exactly where you're at. And now naming this experience. So maybe it's anxiety, or planning. Noticing it. Maybe there's some grief in there. Just naming it. Allowing it to be. Just breathing with this sensation or this emotion or these thoughts. Just breathing. Just softening. Bring a little bit more oxygen to the body. Allowing those eyes to open if they were closed. So I was doing this particular exercise, name it to tame it, with a different group. during the pandemic. And it was live, and so live online. So they were chatting and sharing, with one another, the emotions that came up. And so a lot of them were, oh, I feel relaxed, I feel calm. And then someone shared with the group, I feel grief, which is why I mentioned grief in the exercise. She said, I'm realizing, as I said, it was during the pandemic. She said, I'm realizing how much I miss my family right now. And so, and she said, and I hadn't noticed that was underlying, that was there. So naming the experience is so important for so many ways. So not only does it help us to sometimes tame that emotion, but it also helps us to connect in with maybe some of the things that we've been trying to run away from or ignore. So we all have mass weapons of distraction, right? We don't want to deal with our stress or our anxiety or our sadness. I see these ones. I use these ones a lot because whenever I'm in a group setting, like these are the ones that people say are the most difficult to deal with, right? Depression, anger, and anxiety are three of the most difficult emotions to deal with. And so, we'll be watching TV, or we'll be scrolling endlessly on social media, or constantly planning things, or multitasking, whatever it is. And it's because we don't want to stop and name the experience because we're trying to run away from that emotion. So it can be really nourishing just to even your soul to just like, oh, wow, yeah, here's what I'm feeling right now. So speaking of grief, it was this morning or yesterday, I was just thinking like, wow, I'm so aware of the fact that I'm, grateful to be alive and in this moment. Perhaps we were out in nature. But then also aware that there was this other part of me that was grieving as well, because there's an awful lot of really painful things that are going on in this world. So I became very aware of the dichotomy of feeling so grateful in this moment, and safe in this moment, but also feeling this sadness at what's going on in the world. And so when we can begin to increase that communication level, even with ourselves, it's just really helpful and beneficial for our mental health. And the next one is to pet an animal. We are mammals. And so we will be doing our session on mammalian comfort techniques. And one of them is just proximity and also touch. And so if you have an animal that you can touch, that you can pet, preferably a furry one, it's a lot better for our nervous system. That's awesome. And a lot of us, if you've ever had a pet, or we have a pet now, we know that can be really good because there's that co-regulation that occurs between mammals as well. And often our pets are quite happy to be patted, so they calm down, and that helps us to also calm down with our physiology. But if you don't have access to a pet, then even something furry, like who cares? No one needs to know if you keep a stuffy at work or in your locker or whatever, or a keychain that has some fuzz on it, a fuzzy little ball that you can just kind of put your hand in your pocket and just feel that fuzz, and to actually just soak into the sensation of feeling that softness or feeling that fur if you are petting an animal. Again, calms the body down. And I can't stress enough how important it is for us to have these micro moments of wellness. Because if we're not indulging in micro moments of wellness, what we're probably indulging in is micro moments of unwellness. And if we're going to accumulate throughout the day these different things, what we want to do as much as we can is accumulate more micro moments of wellness than micro moments of unwellness. And there's an article that came out quite some time ago that was entitled, "A Wandering Mind is an Unhappy Mind." And what they found is that if we're not paying attention and the mind goes to where it goes to, which is generally the future or the past, that we're feeling anxious if we're thinking about the future, or feeling depressed if we're thinking about the past. And so when our mind is wandering, when we're not being mindful in this moment, it actually causes us to be more unhappy. And so we don't even consciously realize that we are feeding ourselves with micro moments of dis-ease in the body. So if we can do these little things throughout our day, it makes such a huge difference. All righty. And number 17 is to get into nature, however that is for you. Maybe it's hiking, biking, walking, kayaking, just sitting outside on a break, on a park bench, if that's possible for you. whatever it is, finding what you like to do. So don't go out for a jog in nature if you hate jogging. Don't do that. That's not actually going to be nourishing for your nervous system or for your immune system. So being in nature, there's something, again, like Google the benefits of being in nature. We find as mammals, as human beings, being in nature really good for our physiology. So just, and if you can't get out into nature sometimes throughout your day, is it possible? Do you have plants where you are, wherever you are spending the majority of your days? And if none of that is possible, we've talked about this before as well, even looking at pictures of nature has been proven to be really good for our mental and physical health. So there you go, getting into nature if you can, and if not, just looking at pictures of nature. Writing about what matters. So maybe writing about what makes you happy, writing about the things that you want to do in your life and your goals, writing about things that you're grateful for, journaling, the benefits of journaling, the benefits of writing are amazing. This again is something that's so beneficial for our nervous system. And to actually write using a pen and paper or a pencil and paper, to actually be using your motor skills, your fine motor skills. And it's nourishing for the brain, it's nourishing for the emotions. It's just so good. So even at the end of the day, if it's just writing a gratitude journal of 3 things that you're grateful for that day, or 3 things that you really liked in that day, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be huge. It could be throughout your day. When you see something that makes you happy, then writing, seeing a hawk today on the drive into work or whatever it is, and just notice if there's any type of physiological change that occurs. And as you get more sensitive and more in tune with your body, I think that you'll begin to notice, oh, actually, yeah, I feel calmer. I feel my stress levels go down when I just take a moment to write about what matters and what I'm thankful for. And focusing on a game. So I have some cards here. I think I told you previously that my daughter helps with my PowerPoint slides. And so originally we had to zoom in on this because it was a poker game. And I'm like, yeah, we can't really be advertising poker games. But my partner and I love to play crib at night. And my daughter and I love to play Scrabble. My son and I love to play Dutch Blitz. It's kind of like a double solitaire. It's really cool. I think it was like $15 to buy the cards or whatever. It's so fun. It's very fast. He also loves chess. He's into chess right now. I'm the only one who will play with him because he's really good. And so, like, literally, he did that thing. I don't know. You can Google this too. There's a move in chess where you can beat the other person within like 4 moves. And he did that while we were on vacation a little while ago. And he's like, "Did you do that on purpose? Were you joking?" No, I don't know. I'm not very good at chess. So focusing on a game, because much as I did lose, it was really funny to lose that quickly. And it's also really great as we continue to just watch him get better and better. So he plays chess online. So focusing on a game is really good for your nervous system. And then last but not least, yes, is gratitude. Expressing your thanks for anything. In fact, studies and research have even shown that if you express your thanks and your gratitude before eating, that you digest the food better. You actually absorb more of the nutrients in your food. And so, hey, if you're religious and grace is something that fits for you, that's awesome. Then it's really cool to know that you're actually absorbing more of your food when you say grace before you eat. And if you're not religious, then just gratitude towards, like, hey, the farmers that planted these vegetables and cared for these plants, or the people who brought them to me, the store that I bought them for, or even the food itself, the nutrients that are in the food. If you just take a moment to think, I'm having maybe some fruit, some blueberries, like, oh, all the antioxidants that I'm getting, oh, they're really good and help fight cancer and build the immune system, whatever your giving thanks looks for. Anyway, but even throughout your day, to just think, oh, I'm really grateful for air conditioning. I'm really grateful for heat. I'm really grateful for clean water, whatever it is. And what we're doing, Dr. Rick Hanson talks a lot about neuroplasticity. And now actually, Dr. Siegel is starting his own intrapersonal neurobiology, all about the plasticity of the brain. But the more that we express our gratitude, which is actually one of the highest emotions that we can have. So love, awe, and gratitude are up there as three of the highest emotions that we can have that are best for our body, that we actually continue to program our brain. So the more that we do it, the easier that it gets. All right, so wrapping up, get it? Wrapping up. We took a look at 20 different techniques for feeling calmer throughout our day. Hopefully you found at least one that works for you. We talked an awful lot about the nervous system and how to support it. We did the core breathing exercise, opening to sound exercise, alternate nostril breathing. And then our last one, of course, was name it to tame it, naming the experience. So as Dr. John Kabat-Zinn says, if you are alive, then there is more right with you than wrong. And so remembering that as you go out in the rest of your day today, that if you are alive, there is more going on in your body that is right with you than is wrong. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here. And I really look forward to seeing you again. So take care.